Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Just a quick video to do my reaction of England 4, Ukraine 0 in England's biggest tournament performance in a very long time, and most convincing certainly. It's just been a huge, brilliant day for England fans all over the world, and I don't think I've ever seen so many tweets of it's coming home. I think even after the Germany game there weren't this many. But yeah, no, it's just a fantastic game today, and England really put in a performance worthy of getting them to a semi-final of a tournament. We're going to go through the stats in just a bit, but yeah, no, it's been absolutely fantastic. Every player, every fan, every bystander should be looking at this performance and thinking, you know what, England actually do mean business in this tournament. It's not just about the clean sheets that we've been keeping so far. It's not just 1 or 2 goals. Like, we've got goals in the team as well. Harry Kane's firing. People are beginning to believe. And yeah, let's get into the other scene and just look at a few stats. So here we have the stats from the game. Just going to go through the ratings because I don't necessarily agree with some of these ratings on here. But equally, I think a lot of the players have left their heart on the pitch today and deserve the recognition for playing out of their skin. And before we do go on, I just want to say absolute credit to Ukraine. There's not many teams that can get to this stage of a tournament yet, let alone look good doing it. Ukraine have looked very good so far. It's only been this game where they've perhaps come apart. They looked a little bit tired after the Sweden game, which perhaps is part of it. Obviously, they went to extra time, nearly went to penalties against Sweden, so they were a much more tired team than England, played on the same day obviously to get here, but that might have played into it. They got a few injuries in that game as well. They got injuries to Krivstov, the centre-back, early on in the game as well, which affected them. Initially it affected them positively, but eventually it came back to bite them a little bit. But credit to them for keeping going. I think that's the biggest thing I want to credit Ukraine for, was even when they were 4-0 down, they were still trying to get in behind England, still trying to get that goal, and but for some good defending, some solidness at the back from Pickford, Maguire, Stones, Walker and Shaw, and Phillips and Rice in front of them as well, and even the front guys coming back and helping out, knowing that they wanted the clean sheet. I think perhaps Ukraine probably would have got a goal. They didn't in the end. England maintained their clean sheet run, which I think is now 7 games in a row, 5 of them in a competitive competition now, all 5. And Gary Lineker was saying on BBC that that is the first time a team has done it in the Euros, 5 clean sheets in tournament football in a row. And only Italy have done it in the World Cup. So it's only the 2nd time in history it's happened, apparently, according to Gary Lineker. I take it with a pinch of salt. You might not have researched that fact quite enough. But yeah, we're looking at the team now. Harry Kane got man of the match with 2 goals. Can't really deny it. He had a much bigger focus in the game today. He was allowed to come much further back. Didn't get that opportunity against Germany. He was utilised mainly as a player to hold back the Germans and stop them from getting too far forward. Whereas this time, that role was more Mason Mount's role. Him allowed to dart in behind Kane. Kane came so deep. Sometimes he was all the way back near Maguire and Shaw. Played that role really well, looked very comfortable on the ball, won free kicks for our early goals, scored the goal within 3 minutes, which I thought he took really well, although he hit the goalkeeper with it like it was one of those finishes where he let it get onto his right foot, and he knew that once he'd got it onto his right foot he was going to score. Lovely pass through from Sterling, by the way, who continues to be an absolute madness at this tournament. Mount I thought was a little bit quiet. I didn't think he had anything wrong with his game. I just didn't really think he was really around. It says here he got the assist. I can't think of which goal he got the assist for. It might be Henderson's. Yeah, possibly Henderson's. But yeah, he had a reasonably quiet game from his point of view, but didn't do anything particularly wrong. It was just that everyone else on the pitch seemed to stand out and do something right in the game. I thought Jadon Sancho started very brightly. A couple of runs, bombing forward, where he took on 1 or 2 people and really showed that he can beat a man, which is really exciting to see from an England perspective, because a lot of England's football is based on getting up to the man and then coming back and passing back across to find a decent passing opportunity. So to get someone that's confident enough to take on a man and try and beat someone and get a ball into the box, that's fun to see. That's fun to see. And there are a lot of players that can do it in England squads, but are perhaps told not to. And I think today Sancho was told, just go for it, do you, show yourself in an England shirt. And I think he gave a good, solid performance of himself. Didn't really get in amongst the goals, but he was certainly a driving force for a lot of our attacks. Perhaps could have got a goal just before half-time when he was found on the swivel on the edge of the box. It was a really nice little swivel from Sancho, but unfortunately he couldn't get a goal from it. But, you know, I thought he had a reasonably good game. Rice and Phillips in midfield. Phillips has been given a 6.8 here, which I think is tremendously harsh. He's just normally at 7s every single game. I think perhaps they've not seen quite enough from him because he's been substituted in this game, but I think that's very harsh to rate him as low as that. I don't think anyone in this squad deserves anything lower than a 7. Rice and Phillips were very solid in the middle. Declan Rice had a fantastic game as always. Substituted because he was on a yellow card. Didn't want to risk him for the semi-finals. Very sensible. When you're 2 or 3-0 up, I think you have that luxury as a manager, and I think Gareth's been very clever today with his substitutions to sub off Rice, to sub off Phillips, who were both in doubt with the yellow card. If they had got one, they'd have been out the semi-final. So yeah, really important that they came off, and then Henderson came off. Henderson played very well before he got his goal, kept the ball very well, nice little passes, lots of charging back into defence, just win the ball to show he was lively, to show he was fit, which I think was really important from him today, because there are a few doubts when he's made fleeting appearances so far whether he was fit or not. Certainly in the warm-up games he came on for a half and didn't look the Jordan Henderson that we know, certainly. Perhaps he was being cautious because he didn't want to get injured again or aggravate the injury, but today he showed that he's well over that, charging forward, sticking toes in where he could. Yeah, I think he came on and performed very well. Rashford came on and made a couple of runs. Nice to see him getting in the team. And Bellingham came on and just looked the calmest man in the world. I don't see how an 18-year-old, literally 18, 5 days ago, something like that. So 17 at the start of this tournament. And he's got the head of someone who's 35. Like, the ball comes to him and he's just relaxed. He's calm. He's safe. He knows what to do with the ball. And I think that's nice to see from someone of that age, to have such a mature head, to be able to understand what's going on around him all the time. His awareness is ridiculous. And then he can just roll the ball to one side and play it off. He's one of those players that doesn't seem to get tackled. I don't know if he did get tackled in the game, but he didn't seem to be under any threat of that, certainly. The back four were just absolutely solid. I mean, there was a brief moment where Kyle Walker assumed that Pickford was going to pick up the ball, and it meant that Ukraine got in when it was only 1-0. And a loose pass from Kyle Walker, which I think is why they've given him a 6.5, which again I think is harsh, but I understand it. The two chances that Ukraine will perhaps think that they should have got something from came from Kyle Walker. So, like, I understand why they've rated him like that. I don't think he had a particularly bad game. He certainly linked up with Sancho quite nicely down that side. And Sancho coming into the middle, which allows Walker to go bomb beyond him down the wing, is something that England might be able to utilise against Denmark coming up. And then, need I say anything about Luke Shaw? Luke Shaw, 2 assists in this game, was pretty much involved in every single move that England made going forward, even if that was only to free up space. But the number of times he got in behind, the pass to Sancho that I mentioned earlier, that Sancho did the turn on the defender and he had his chance, that was from Shaw's creation, getting in, playing himself on side and keeping going. And Shaw's just looking every bit the best left back that England have, which is quite a big praise from him, because Ben Chilwell's sitting there not getting any minutes whatsoever, and Ben Chilwell is the person before this tournament that I would said was England's best left back and one of the best left backs in the world. Just won the Champions League, of course, with Chelsea. I think Shaw's demonstrating to his critics, people like Mourinho, who's been heavily critical of him in the past and has been in the papers this week. I think he is just showing everyone why he's such a brilliant left back. He was great against Germany as well, I must admit. And then Pickford at the back made a couple of mistakes today from kicks, but they were mistakes which didn't come to anything. And it's more like, I'm glad that he got them over and done with in this game, because there's always bound to be some mistakes. And the fact that they haven't cost us a goal today is actually really big, because it means that we can keep that momentum of clean sheet football going into the semi-finals against Denmark. Denmark, by the way, is a tough game. No matter what you see on paper, and to a neutral or to someone that doesn't watch football, perhaps you might say that Denmark is a far lesser team, to the point of being like Ukraine or someone like that. Wrong. Denmark have a fantastic team this tournament, and not only that, because of the Christian Eriksen thing and because of the way they're managed and set up, they have an incredible spirit as well, which I think takes you far in tournaments. You have a bit of quality and you have the spirit, and that's how you push forward. Teams without spirit and just quality often fall several rounds before, like Belgium, for example. I think they have tremendous amounts of quality, but perhaps don't have that team spirit, that like morale, that everyone's behind them, like everyone expects Belgium to do well. But that's not the case with Denmark. It's more like they know they're going to do well. They feel like they're going to do well. They can pull performances out of nothing. Whereas I don't think teams like Belgium, who have gone out, Portugal, who have gone out, Germany, who have gone out, have that this tournament. And I think that's why they've gone. So they're just quality. Whereas I think Denmark might not have the same quality as those teams in personnel, but they do have the spirit, and that brings them up to that level. So I think it's going to be a really tough game for England, and it's certainly one that we shouldn't think is a given. We thought that against Croatia back in 2018 in the World Cup. Everyone was saying that England are going to get through to the final, although there was less hits coming home then because people thought that we'd lose to France. I think there's more belief in this team now, and certainly with performances like that, which are much bigger than the performances that we put in the World Cup against Sweden and against Colombia. I just think this team has really performed today, and we went back to the 4 at the back, which we didn't play against Germany. We played a 3-back to match their formation. Gareth Southgate's decided to go back to this more solid approach that we've had before, which I think worked quite well against Ukraine. And Ukraine set up in a way that weirdly was to dominate the midfield, but they didn't. They dominated the press and made it very hard for England to pass through them in certain points in the game. However, England's quality really shone through, and they were able to get through these gaps and make moves by sending one down the wing and one inside and one holding and then one coming across. By overloading a position with players, that often means that you can get through them, and that's how England did it today. As I say, I don't think Ukraine did anything particularly wrong today apart from not be the better team, and that is why England have done this game and gone through. I thought Ukraine played okay, to be honest. They certainly didn't embarrass themselves, and they were cheering with their fans and doing the Icelandic clap at the end with their fans, which was really nice to see that the fans were proud of them, and so they should be. Ukraine have done really well in this tournament, and credit to them. But at the end of the day, they've gone out in the quarters, which I think if they'd seen that at the start of the tournament with the group they had, where they perhaps were vying for second place, but never more than that, they weren't going to win that group. They're probably pretty proud of where they've got to, and so they should be. So yeah, that's my pretty much opinions on the game. I won't go into too much details into like possession and shots, although what I will say, the fact that we've had 10 shots today shows a lot what we were as a team today. It shows that we were intending on going further than the 1 goal, the 2 goal, because there were some shots that pinged in from range, some shots that... There was a Harry Kane moment where the ball sat up for him on the edge of the box and he's side volleyed it across the goalkeeper towards the top corner. Goalkeeper's pulled off an absolute wonderful save. It was for Harry Kane's hat-trick, and if he'd scored that... I said at the time it had been England's Van Basten moment, and then Rio Ferdinand said it 5 minutes later on the summary at the end, so I was a bit annoyed that I didn't tweet that before Rio Ferdinand can say it, but whatever. Yeah, that would have been a perfect end to Harry Kane's hat-trick. It'd have been absolutely brilliant. I think it might have even made it... No, it wouldn't have been a perfect hat-trick because they were both right-footed, but neither here nor there, it'd have been a fantastic goal, and I think that shows an impetus for England that they really want to get more goals in this tournament, because they haven't really pushed for it in some of the games. You look at the Croatia game, we didn't really push for a second against Croatia. We didn't really push for a second against the Czech Republic. We did against the Germans, and that finished them off, but then we didn't push for any more than 2. We were just comfortable after that. And I think had we not been forced into the yellow card changes, I think we perhaps would have done even more goals against the Ukraine today. And we certainly had it in us. There was a couple more shots afterwards, but yeah, the fact that we've had 10 shots in a game, it shows how good of a team we are, really, because we've been doing 2 or 3, maybe 4, certainly on target anyway. It's been, there was the game against Scotland, I don't even think we had a shot on target, or maybe 1, and that made us look not quite as good a team as we actually are. So I think this is a real statement piece from England today to win 4-0, and now we've got to come up against Denmark. So bring on the Danes. Hopefully on Wednesday we can beat them, and it's coming home again. It's coming home. Let's go. Thank you very much for watching. My name's The Steak Bake. If you want to check me out on Twitch, it's twitch.tv/the_steak_bake. Also, there's a Twitter down there, Instagram, and Discord as well if you want to follow. Subscribe to the channel if you liked the video. If you liked it, give a like. If you didn't, give a dislike. Tell me what you didn't like. Give me some feedback on the video. Is it the camera view? Is it the pictures? Is it, you know, this kind of thing? Too slow to come out? That's often my problem. Over-edited, too much talking, rambling. You know, I'm rambling now. But yeah, please leave some feedback on the video if you enjoyed it. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. See you later. And yes, by the way, I am wearing a Thug Life t-shirt. Because nothing says Thug Life like looking like this. Nerdy and sweaty and barely able to talk. A little bit poshly on the internet. Absolute Thug Life. Anyway, see you later.